Hey guys, I hope you all are doing well out there. We are officially moving on from our westward expansion crash course unit, and today we're going to start the slavery unit. And this unit's going to be a hard one because it's about the darkest period in America's history. So just sort of a forewarning there. But it is important to study it because it's had massive impacts on this country and still impacting the country today. So we need to understand how it came about and what happened, and again what those impacts are. And today we're not going to get into slaves' experiences yet. That's tomorrow. Today I want you to have the background on how the slave trade worked, right? How did this whole thing even happen so that um, the Africans got captured and taken and just all of that. So that's what today's about. And I am going to show a clip that sort of it's from a movie called Amistad, and so it shows a character experience the slave trade and the Middle Passage, which I'll explain later what that means. And again, this is going to be a painful clip, but again, I do think it's important to actually see it to try to, as best as you can, understand what it would be like to be, a part of that. Um, so if it's too painful for you and you want to skip ahead, though, I understand. But if you can watch it, I think that talking about it and then watching a depiction of it is that takes it to another level of just trying to get just how horrible this whole thing was. So let me see. I guess just a little setup for the clip. A lot of this will be explained more later in the lesson, but just so you know things you're seeing in the clip, you'll see the main character get captured, and he actually gets captured by another African tribe, and because, as you'll learn in the lesson today, oftentimes the Europeans or sometimes the Americans would come and would um, give African kings sort of like guns or other goods, things like that they needed, and in exchange they would go capture like an African from another village, or they'd take somebody from one of their prisons and give that to them in exchange, give that person to them in exchange. And so you'll see in the clip he gets captured, he gets taken, and then he's actually given over with a whole bunch of other people to the Europeans. And the Europeans, you'll see at one point, are giving one of the African gentlemen a gun, and he's inspecting it and stuff. So anyway, just so you understand kind of some of what you're seeing there, and then again, you'll see our main character get put on a boat, and you'll just see a lot of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up now. Here it is. Get started. So there's actually more to that sequence that continues on, but again, I don't think there's a lot of reason to keep going. Just in that part of the clip there, you get a pretty clear picture just how brutal and dehumanizing every single aspect of this whole process was. So again, if you sat through that and watched that, it's just another level, I think, when you have to look at a character portraying somebody experiencing that and just watch every step of what they had to go through. So I am going to go through some vocab. So what we call that's called the transatlantic slave trade. And, went on for hundreds of years. And what that means is trans means to like move something, or not even just to move something, to just for something to move from one place to another place, right? Transportation. So the trans is sort of the crossing part of it. And then Atlantic refers to the Atlantic. Oh, I can't just highlight that word for some reason. There we go. Refers to the Atlantic Ocean. So transatlantic means crossing over the Atlantic Ocean, because the ships to go from Africa to America crossed the Atlantic Ocean, okay? So the transatlantic slave trade means the slave trade that crossed the Atlantic Ocean. And so basically when you hear that term, it's talking about the trading relationship between North America, Europe, and Africa that led to Africans being brought over to America to be slaves. It's also called the triangular trade, okay? And so I have a separate lecture video that you're gonna use for your worksheet. That's going to cover the transatlantic trade, the triangular trade, as you'll see the shape. And that'll make more sense when we get to that. Okay. I also want you to be familiar with the term Middle Passage. The Middle Passage is the trip between Africa and North America that enslaved Africans were forced to make. The Africans were packed tightly into the ship and endured terrible conditions. Many died on the way over. So the transatlantic slave trade really is, I guess, we talk about is the whole process, because it's all crossing the Atlantic, even the part from Europe down to Africa across the Atlantic, Europe back, to America, back to Europe, like all that is across the Atlantic Ocean. But the Middle Passage refers just specifically to that boat trip from Africa to North America, okay? And you saw, just a glimpse of it in that video, just how awful those conditions were. So yeah, and then the last term is labor force, and labor force means a group of people who are able to work. And so the reason that this term I want you to be familiar with is because when we talk about the triangular trade, we talk about how sort of greed and wealth is behind the desires that led to slavery. And so I'll use that term labor force because America was trying to get a labor force to do their work for free, right? That was the idea of slavery, in order to grow a lot of their crops and things like that. So when I use the term labor force, someone should be familiar with what I'm talking about. Okay, so other than that, like I said, today there's not a reading, but I went ahead and just filmed a video because I think it's visual. It's important to see this visually of myself explaining how the triangular trade worked, what each country was trying to get, so on and so forth. And you got a worksheet that goes along with that called, I believe, the Transatlantic Slave Trade worksheet. And so I want you to watch the video. And as you're watching the video, pause when you think you find one of the answers. It's going to be a lot easier if you pause as you go and fill it out than if you watch the whole thing and then try to fill it out at the end. So it's up to you how you do it, but I suggest that you pause it as you go. Okay, that is all I have for the general lesson. Go ahead and watch that lecture on your own and have your worksheet up and just work through it. And always let me know if you have any questions. All right, have a good one.